Imagine this, 100 million radioactive sterile flesh-eating flies being airdropped into the jungles of Panama on purpose. Yeah, sounds like the start of a horror movie, but this is real and it's one of humanity's most successful biological wars. For over 50 years, we've been fighting a parasite so gross, so terrifying, that the only way to beat it was to outbreed it. Let me introduce you to Cochliomyia hominivorax, a name that literally means the man-eater. Great, cool, totally not horrifying at all. So what's the deal with these nightmare bugs? They're also called New World Screwworm flies, which honestly sounds like a failed metal band. These little blue-green flies with red demon eyes have one purpose in life: sniff out wounds and lay eggs in them. That's right. No. Just a tiny scratch on a deer, a squirrel, a human. And Mama Screwworm is ready to set up a horror nursery. When her eggs hatch, the larvae start eating healthy, living flesh. With jaws, they don't wait for you to die, they prefer you alive. Now, screwworms existed in the Americas for ages, but things got way worse when humans brought in cows, millions of them. Suddenly, it was buffet season for the flies.
Spicy meat. Yeah, boy. That's it.
And here's the kicker, you can't poison them. They live inside the animals. Farmers were helpless. Wounds turned to infections. Cows died slowly. But then came one of the weirdest, boldest ideas in science. What if we breed billions of male flies, sterilize them with radiation, and drop them into the wild to mate, but make it a dead end for reproduction? Basically, outsmarting nature with radioactive bachelor bugs. And it worked. To make this work, we needed a worm factory. In Texas, they built a plant that used 70 tons of meat, 12,000 gallons of blood every single week. The flies were raised in a warm meat soup spa that made them think they were in a living animal. Then zap, precision radiation made them sterile but still raring to mate. Airplanes dropped millions of these sterile flies in precise patterns over infected zones, like an aerial ballet of sterile doom. In country by country, the screwworms vanished. Florida, Texas, Mexico, Central America, but there was a problem. South America is huge, expensive, and politically messy. So instead of wiping the flies everywhere, they built a barrier. A living wall of flesh across Panama, not zombies, just sterile flies. Every week, 100 million flies are released to keep the North free from invasion. The system works like clockwork. Fly breeding 24/7 protein sludge feed, precision radiation, aerial dispersal, choreography, jungle surveillance. It's sci-fi meets nature, doc meets military operation. But in 2016, disaster. The flies came back to Florida. Key deer were found walking around with holes in their faces. Another outbreak, another emergency. The sterile fly air force was launched again, and it worked, temporarily.
Ice bear doesn't sweat. Ice bear glows.
In late 2023, Panama's wall failed. The parasites stormed back, ripping through Costa Rica and reaching Mexico, and right now, it's spreading again. The worm factory is at full capacity, and the biological war is back on. So why should you care about flies eating cows alive thousands of miles away? Because this isn't just about bugs. It's about how humans use science to fight nature's worst nightmares. How cooperation between nations can literally hold back horror, and how fragile the balance really is. It also shows that the weirdest solutions, like bombing jungles with flies, might just be the smartest. If you're ever in Central America and see a low-flying plane, don't duck. Don't panic, just smile and wave. You just witnessed humanity dropping another wave of sterile soldiers in a war we can't afford to lose. And hey, if anyone asks, you now know the only reason why Panama smells a bit like cologne, steak, and death. That's it for today's nerdy deep dive into the war of the flesh-eating flies. If you enjoyed this disgusting journey, subscribe, and share it with someone who thinks mosquitoes are the worst thing in nature. They don't know the half of it. See you next time on The Nerd.